12 senior superlatives, one male, one female. That's 20 people out of 132, give or take a few, since some of us were voted more than one superlative. Harry paused for a breath. How many were in your class, Miranda? 56. 42 are still alive, although some of us might be on respirators. My task for my reunion is easier. Miranda giggled, her hand resting on the worn cover of her 1950 yearbook. You all were so lucky to go to small high schools. Mine was a consolidated, huge, Chris remarked, and indeed her yearbook bore witness to the fact, being 3 times fatter than that of Harry and Susan or Mrs. Hagendauber. Susan agreed. I guess we were lucky, but we didn't know it at the time. Does anyone? Harry tapped her yellow wooden pencil against the back of her left wrist. Probably not. Not when you're young. What fun we had. Miranda, a widow, nodded her head, jammed with happy memories. Okay, here's what I've got. Ready? They nodded in assent, so Harry began reading. These are categories to try and include others. Most distance traveled, most children, most wives. You're not going to do that, Miranda chuckled. Why not? That one is followed by most husbands. Too bad we can't have one for most affairs. Harry lifted her eyebrows. Malicious, Susan said dryly. Rhymes with delicious. Harry's eyes brightened. Okay, what else have I got here? Most changed. Obviously that has to be in some good way. Can't pick out someone who has porked on an extra 100 pounds. And, I couldn't think of anything else. Harry, you're usually so imaginative. Miranda seemed surprised. She's not at all imaginative, but she is ruthlessly logical, I'll give her that. Harry ignored Susan's assessment of her, speaking to Chris. When you're new to a place, it takes a long time to ferret out people's relationships to one another. Suffice it to say that Susan, my best friend since birth, feels compelled to point out my shortcomings. Harry, being logical isn't a shortcoming, it's a virtue, Susan protested. But we are light on categories here. Chris opened her dark green yearbook to a club photo. My 20th reunion was last year. One of the things we did was go through the club photos to see if we could find anyone who became a professional at something they were known for in high school. You know, like did anyone in Latin club become a Latin teacher? It's kind of hokey, but you do get desperate after a time. Harry pulled the book toward her, the youthful faces of the pep club staring back at her. Which one are you? Chris pointed to a tall girl in the back row. I wasn't blonde then. I can see that. Harry read the names below the photo, finding Chris Sharpton. She slid the book back to the owner. What we also did, which took a bit of quick thinking on the spot, was we had cards made up with classmates' names written on them in italics. They were pretty. Anyway, if the individual hadn't fit into some earlier category, we did things like Tom Cruise double. Anything to make them feel special. That's clever, Miranda complimented her. The other thing we did was make calls. As you know, people disperse after high school. Each one of us on the committee called everyone we were still in contact with from our class. We asked who they were in contact with and what they knew about the people. This way we gathered information for things like most community service. After a time, it's a stretch, but it's important that everyone be included in some way. At the last minute, we even wrote a card up, still the same. Chris, these are good ideas. Harry was grateful. You're wonderful to come help us. I mean, this isn't even your reunion. I'm not as generous as you think, Chris laughed. Susan bet me she'd beat me by 3 strokes on the Keswick golf course. The bet was I'd help you all if I lost. What would you have gotten if you'd won? 2 English boxwoods planted by my front walkway. Since moving to Crozet 4 months ago, Chris had thrown herself into decorating and landscape.